Good evening, and welcome to Tough Questions. The topic we are discussing tonight is a simple question with a very complex answer. Should people get paid for donating blood? Every year, millions of lives are saved by blood transfusions, but blood banks often face shortages. Could paying donors solve this problem, or would it create new, more dangerous ones? Here to debate this are David, a health economist who believes payment is a practical solution, and Dr. Lena Petrova, a doctor who works with the National Blood Service and supports the current voluntary system. Welcome to you both.
Thank you, Sarah. It's a pleasure to be here to discuss this important issue.
Thank you for having me.
David, let's begin with you. Please give us your opening statement on why you believe paying for blood donations is the right path forward.
Certainly. Let's be direct. The problem is simple. We don't have enough blood. Our system, which relies completely on volunteers, is not meeting the demand. Doctors and hospitals regularly have to postpone important, sometimes life-saving surgeries because the right blood type is not available when it's needed. This is a critical failure in our healthcare logistics. This is a situation we can change, and my position is that we should offer a financial payment to people who donate blood. It is a direct and effective way to increase supply. I want to be very clear. I am not talking about a large amount of money that would make blood donation a career. I am suggesting a small payment, perhaps a fixed amount, to compensate people for their time, their travel costs, and the small inconvenience of the process. We already have a successful model for this. People are paid for donating plasma, which is a component of blood used to make essential medicines. That system works well, it provides a stable supply, and it is safe. So I have to ask, why should whole blood be different? The need is just as urgent, if not more so. Some people argue this is ethically wrong, but I believe the primary ethical goal is to save lives. If a small payment can encourage more people to donate, especially young and healthy individuals who might not have considered it before, then our hospitals will be better prepared. This means more lives saved and fewer families suffering because of a preventable shortage. It's a practical solution to a very serious problem. We can, and should, create a system that is safe, regulated, and effective. It's time to stop thinking about what feels right and start focusing on what works to keep people alive.
Thank you, David. Dr. Petrova, you have a very different perspective. Please share your opening statement with that.
Thank you, Sarah. Donating blood is a gift. It is an act of pure generosity, one of the most selfless things a person can do for another. You give a part of yourself, freely, to save the life of a complete stranger. It is a powerful act of community and solidarity. When you introduce money into this equation, you change its fundamental nature. It stops being a gift and becomes a business transaction. The motivation shifts from helping others to personal financial gain. My primary concern, as a doctor who sees the consequences, is safety. The current system is built on volunteers. These are people who have no financial reason to lie about their health history, their travel, or their lifestyle. Their only motivation is to help others, which makes them very honest. This honesty is the foundation of our safe blood supply. If we begin paying for blood, we will inevitably attract donors whose main motivation is the money. These individuals might be in difficult financial situations, and they might be more likely to have health problems or engage in high-risk behaviors. Worse, they might feel pressured to hide information on the health questionnaire because they desperately need the payment. Of course, we test all donated blood with the best technology available, but no test is 100% perfect. There is always a small window period for new infections where a virus is not yet detectable by our tests. The honesty of the donor is our first and most important line of defense. Why would we ever choose to weaken that defense? The health and safety of the patient receiving the blood is the most important thing. The current voluntary system is the safest way to protect them.
Thank you both for those clear opening statements. Dr. Petrova, I want to start the discussion with the point David raised. He said that we already pay for plasma, and that system works well without major safety issues. Why is donating whole blood so different?
That is an excellent and very important question, Sarah. The comparison between plasma donation and whole blood donation is common, but it is misleading because the processes are fundamentally different. When plasma is collected for payment, it is not usually transfused directly into a patient in the same way whole blood is. Instead, it is treated as a raw material for a factory. This plasma is pooled together with thousands of other donations. It then goes through a long and complex industrial manufacturing process called fractionation. This process isolates specific proteins to create medical products. Crucially, this manufacturing includes multiple steps specifically designed to remove or kill viruses and other pathogens. The final product is sterilized. This provides an extremely high level of safety that is built into the production line itself.
So you're saying there's a safety net in the plasma process that doesn't exist for blood?
Exactly. Whole blood for transfusion is completely different. It is a living product. We handle it very carefully, we test it, but we do not sterilize it. You cannot heat treat or irradiate blood in the same way without destroying the red cells that patients need. The blood from the donor's arm goes much more directly to the patient's vein. Because of this direct link, the health and absolute honesty of the donor are absolutely critical. The risk is simply higher, and that is why we must not introduce money, which could tempt someone to be dishonest.
David, let's turn to you. Dr. Petrova's main point is about that critical risk to safety. She believes paying donors will make our blood supply less safe. How would you design a paid system that guarantees the safety of the blood?
Safety is, of course, the #1 priority. I want to be perfectly clear that I agree with Dr. Petrova on that. No system is worth implementing if it is not safe. However, it is simply not true that a paid system must be a less safe one. That is a false choice. First, as Dr. Petrova mentioned, we would use exactly the same high-level testing that we use today. This technology is constantly improving, making the tests more sensitive and shrinking the window period she referred to. We should have confidence in our medical technology. Second, the idea that people who need money are inherently less honest or less healthy is a harmful stereotype. People from all walks of life can be honest or dishonest, regardless of their income. A small payment doesn't suddenly turn a good, responsible person into a liar. It simply acknowledges that their contribution has value, and that they have spent time and effort to help. We can also add extra safety steps. For example, we could implement a more detailed health interview conducted by a trained professional. We could even have a system where new donors must donate once without payment before they are eligible for compensation on future visits. A well-regulated, government-controlled system can be just as safe. Let's not forget the other side of the safety coin. A shortage of blood is also a massive safety risk, and it's a risk that patients face every single day, right now.
But David, the core of the issue remains. If a person is donating for altruistic reasons, there is no incentive to lie. If you add a financial incentive, you create one. It may be small, but it's a risk you are adding to the system, isn't it?
I would argue we are replacing one risk with another. We are replacing the very small, manageable risk of a dishonest donor with the very large, unmanageable risk of an empty blood bank. Given that choice, I know which risk I would rather take on and manage.
We are nearing the end of our time. I'd like to ask you both for a brief closing statement. David, you first.
Thank you. To summarize my position, we have a clear and present problem of supply. The current system, while based on noble intentions, is not providing enough blood to meet the needs of our country. People are waiting for operations, cancer treatments are delayed, and accident victims are put at greater risk. This is not a theoretical problem. It is happening now. My proposal is a practical one. By offering a small payment as compensation, we can motivate a wider group of people to donate, increasing the number of donors, and creating a stable, reliable supply. This is not about making people rich. It is about recognizing the value of their time and effort. With strict government regulation and the best modern testing technology, we can ensure the system is completely safe. We can have both more blood and safe blood. It's time for a new, pragmatic approach. An empty blood bank is the biggest risk of all, and paying donors is the most logical and effective way to make sure that doesn't happen. Let's choose the solution that will save the most lives.
Thank you, David. Dr. Petrova, your final thoughts?
I believe the risks of a paid system are simply too great to accept. The entire safety of our national blood supply depends on the honesty and goodwill of our volunteer donors. The moment we offer money, we create a direct incentive for people to be dishonest about their health. As a doctor, I cannot, in good conscience, support a system that knowingly increases that risk, even by a very small amount. The life of a patient is too important. Furthermore, blood donation should remain an act of community solidarity, a gift from one person to another. Introducing money cheapens this profound act. It sends the wrong message to our society. It tells people that helping others is not enough of a reason. You should also expect to be paid for it. This erodes the spirit of volunteerism that is so valuable. The solution to shortages is not to buy blood. It is to invest more in public education, to make donation centers more convenient and accessible, and to properly celebrate the volunteers who are the true heroes of our safe blood supply. Let's protect our patients and our values by keeping blood donation a voluntary gift.
My thanks to both David and Dr. Lena Petrova for a very clear and important debate this evening. We have heard two very different and compelling views. On one hand, the practical argument that payment could increase the blood supply and save lives that are currently at risk from shortages. On the other, the ethical and safety argument that paying for blood could damage the spirit of giving and, most importantly, might make life-saving transfusions less safe for the patients who need them. The question for all of us to consider is, what is the true value of a blood donation, and how do we, as a society, best encourage it? Thank you for watching Tough Questions. Good night.